Titanfall 2. It's a game where you spend half your time wall running as a parkour addict, and the other half crying over a talking robot. It's a sequel to Titanfall 1, which from what I can gather is a total flop of a multiplayer game. But Titanfall 2 decided to be different. It said, what if we gave you giant robots, time travel, explosions, and somehow still made you feel emotions? And against all odds, it worked. So today, I'll be walking you through the story of Titanfall 2. Strap in, because this is 9 missions of friendship, betrayal, and physics abuse, sprinkled with me making fun of it all so you don't have to. Warning: contains spoilers, sarcasm, and possibly the only time that you'll cry over a 20-foot AI machine. Then again, if you haven't played it yet, it's kinda your fault at this point. Anyway, hit like and subscribe, otherwise you're about to experience the fastball protocol firsthand. Then we will really see if you can wall run in real life. You start as Jack Cooper, the least average rifleman alive. I mean, he mastered his craft in what feels like a day. Me, on the other hand, I was definitely holding him back. He is basically John Wick. However, instead of a dog dying before him, it's just a guy we meet for the equivalent of 2 minutes. I mean, we were getting trained on the flight into battle. I am really beginning to wonder why our side thinks we can win. Captain Lastimosa, your mentor, decides to train you using the militia's gauntlet. Basically Ninja Warrior, but with grenades. It's a timed obstacle course where you wall ride, slide, and shoot targets as fast as you can. The idea is to prove you're worthy of becoming a pilot. In practice, it's the game's way of showing you how bad you are at parkour. The gauntlet is legendary because everyone tries to beat the record. The developers even put in a speedrun challenge that only psychopaths with lightning reflexes can finish. If you're like me though, you'll trip on the first wall, miss 3 targets, and call it a solid attempt. I walk out with a top time of 1 minute and 17 seconds. Lastimosa pretends to encourage you. You're getting better. Meanwhile, you've face planted into a wall 3 times and missed 15 shots at point blank. Inspiring stuff. You instead decide to move on and show your worth in the battlefield. Of course, before you can really prove yourself, Lastimosa dies in the field and just dumps BT on you. Congratulations, you are now a pilot. Not because you passed the gauntlet, but because you failed to fight in battle and decided to have a nap under a couple leaves. Then due to no friendlies being alive, someone needed to inherit the mech. Honestly, from my experience, becoming a pilot is just a walk in the park. The gauntlet feels like a bigger hurdle than the rest of the campaign. We immediately get tasked with finding batteries, and this is where we get introduced to the combat. And most importantly, punching, which proves to be probably the most effective weapon in the arsenal. BT has missile pods, laser cannons, and advanced AI. Cooper, he punches people in the teeth like it's a bar fight at 2 AM. Truly a balanced duo. Once you realize kicking works, it's hard to stop. Why waste bullets when you can wall run, drop kick, and move on? After some intense gameplay, I source the batteries and officially get to take control of BT-7274. I know, it's a mouthful. The IMC, aka the villains in the game, immediately try to kill you. Their soldiers yell things like "hostile Titan spotted," which is accurate, but not particularly helpful. After all, I am a 20-foot tall mech that is shooting a minigun. Like, I guess these guys don't live long enough to get bullied? This is also where we meet the mercenary pilots. Basically, space bounty hunters hired by the IMC. They all have big personalities, custom Titans, and I can't lie, some wicked accents. Meanwhile, BT keeps reminding you of his protocols, and Cooper keeps pretending he knows what he's doing. Together, they blow up half the jungle, casually murder 200 IMC soldiers, and somehow look like they're having a wholesome father-son bonding trip. And I'm smiling from ear to ear, because my monkey brain likes good explosions and running over little people. After inheriting BT, you finally get a taste of what it's like fighting alongside a Titan. And it's incredible. You're a rookie, but suddenly you're rolling into battles like a father-son demolition team. Cooper runs along the ground, shooting whatever moves, while BT casually erases entire squads with rockets. It's pure buddy cop energy. One guy does the paperwork, the other blows up the building. But then, just as you're starting to feel unstoppable, the game rips apart the dream team. BT has to go one way, Cooper another. It's like your dad dropping you off at your first part-time job and saying, "Good luck, champ." This is when you realise Cooper is basically one bad step away from death. IMC soldiers swarm, and worst of all, the game introduces ticks, those creepy little exploding robot balls. They skitter across the ground like metallic cockroaches, beep ominously, and then blow themselves up in your face. Truly terrifying. I'm helping squad mates fight off waves of enemies and droids, and then next thing, I'm getting frightened by robot grenades with legs. It's like playing dodgeball, except the balls are alive, angry, and filled with C4. Meanwhile, BT is off somewhere, probably having a casual fistfight with another Titan, or watching me from the other side of a set of lasers, saying that he's too worried to shoot as he thinks it might hit me. This mission really nails down the pilot fantasy. You're fast, you're lethal, and you're definitely afraid of ticks. Time for the first real Titan boss fight. Kane. He's Australian, which makes him 50% more dangerous by default. His entire personality is yelling at you over a radio, like your drunk uncle at a barbecue. The fight itself is explosive, chaotic, and ends with BT casually telling you to steal Kane's helmet, before roasting him alive. It's at this point you realise BT might actually be scarier than the bad guys. This is also where the mercenaries get introduced as a bigger deal. They're a squad, led by a guy named Blisk, who has a strong, calls you champ at the pub, and then cuts you off at the bar energy. Total tosser. They're clearly set up as a boss fight for later, and Kane is just the tutorial level. After proving that you can clown on an Aussie, you and BT push forward and end up inside an IMC assembly line. And this isn't your average factory. It's literally a machine that builds fake neighborhoods, houses, streets, and even little parks, all manufactured on a conveyor belt like the IKEA furniture. Pretty cool map design. And of course, BT is too big to fit on the assembly line, so Cooper is on his own again. Wall running along moving walls while IMC grunts scream and get flattened by half-built houses. Which is hilarious, because you just walk in uninvited and massacre everyone while their fake suburb is still under construction. Nothing says tactical realism like being ambushed when you're prepping for training. So you're running, sliding, and fighting your way through a map that was built in real time. Floors rise, walls flip around, entire houses rotate underneath you. It's like the game designers said, what if Inception and a construction site had a baby? It's visually insane, mechanically brilliant, and makes you wonder, did the IMC really need a billion-dollar house-making factory? After all, they're going around blowing up planets. And then it gets worse. The IMC locks you inside one of these half-built neighborhoods and drops a Titan on you. This is the first time you have to fight one without BT by your side. It's a brutal wake-up call. Up until now, BT has been your safety net, stomping mechs, launching missiles, basically making you feel like you're unstoppable. But here, you're just a guy with a couple bullets and a dream. going up against a walking tank. To no one's surprise, I kill the mech first try and quickly escape. Cooper and BT reunite, but not before Ash rears her head. They are one of Blisk's mercenaries. She rolls in with a custom Ronin Titan, complete with a giant sword. Now, a normal person would see a mech with a giant blade that could slice a mech in half and think, maybe I should keep my distance and use missiles. But no, my brain went, what if I just punch it? So while Ash is swinging around her abnormally large katana, BT and I are just throwing hands. It works, and Ash dies. All in a day's work. Now we hit the most famous mission, Effect and Cause. You find a magic wristwatch that lets you instantly jump between past and present. One moment you're in a shiny corporate lab, and the next you're in a burning ruin filled with alien dog things. It's one of the coolest mechanics in FPS history. And of course, the first thing most players do is sneak up behind enemies and punch them in 2 different timelines. Humanity is doomed. Although, I spent a lot of my playthrough punching and kicking random friendly droids. I started, and then I just craved it. I even at one point went around and punched and kicked like 30 droids in a single room. It was quite cathartic. The highlight, or lowlight, was getting locked in a room full of maniac droids that just wouldn't die. I mean, they crawled out of every crevice in that room, and I could have just immediately jumped right past them. Instead, I tried to kill them all. My stubbornness is constantly working against me. But beyond the gimmick, this mission reveals the IMC are experimenting with the Fold weapon, a planet-killing device powered by time-space nonsense. You know, the usual evil corporation side project. But in technical terms, it's just a little blue ball that does something somewhere and has an effect on an outcome of some situation.
We do not care.
The IMC finally show off their big toy, the Fold weapon. Think Death Star, but more impractical and less unionized. This mission is where Cooper finally earns his pilot paycheck. First off, the militia need an arc tool to repair a massive communication dish. Everyone else who tried to grab one vaporized instantly. But Cooper, he picks it up like it's a grape at the local Coles. Apparently, touching high voltage alien tech is fine if you've done the gauntlet once. Now, armed with what is basically a giant sci-fi glue gun, Cooper sets out to fix the dish. BT helps in the most BT way possible. He just throws you multiple times. It's called the fastball protocol. Of course, this involves climbing around construction cranes, moving platforms back and forth like a crane simulator. The best part is when BT literally has to catch you mid-fall, and he nails it. Epic moment. 10 out of 10 trustful. Finally, after you finish putting the thingamabob in the radar dish, the militia get their comms back online. But the real highlight isn't the science, it's the bromance. BT calmly tells Cooper,
Captain Ty Lastimosa was killed in action. I am now linked to an acting pilot, Rifleman Jack Cooper.
Wait a minute. Lastimosa linked you to a rifleman?
Yes, he had no other options.
Understood. We'll get you transferred to a fully qualified pilot.
Objection. Cooper is my pilot. Our combat effectiveness rating now exceeds 90%. Request permission to retain this link.
You're lucky our backs are up against the wall, BT.
Translation? BT basically said, "You're my best friend, and no one's taking me away." Which is hands down the sweetest thing you'll ever hear from a murder robot. Cooper doesn't say much, but you can feel the love. This is the moment you realize you're not just a pilot and Titan anymore. You're family. Like Vin Diesel, but somehow more realistic. BT and I get sent straight into an all-out assault on the IMC base. This is Titanfall 2 at its peak. BT and I, synced up, tearing through an army of enemy Titans like they're made of cardboard. Rockets fly, grunts scatter, and by the time we're all done, the IMC basically needs a new army. It feels amazing. You're in the zone, crushing mechs, stomping on soldiers, blowing up turrets. You and BT are one Titan apocalypse. At this point, you're thinking, we've got this. Nothing can stop us now. And then, the IMC casually load the Ark onto a giant transport ship and fly away. You don't even get a boss fight. You just arrive, sweaty and victorious, and watch as the villains straight up take off in front of your eyes with their doomsday weapon out of reach. All that destruction and all that effort just to be late by about 30 seconds. BT, the ever calm dad, doesn't freak out. Instead, he just goes, we'll track them down. Cooper, on the other hand, is still wondering how Blisk got his cool ass name. Enter Viper, the coolest mercenary of the lot. He's got a jetpack Titan that fights you in the sky. He just flies in the air and shoots missiles at you. And you're blessed with the speed bump for cover. The fight is intense. Viper dies, and BT wants to throw you to the next ship. Oh wait, Viper isn't really dead. He instead picks up BT, and you're dropped from an astronomically large height. After a couple quick exchanges, I get the perfect opportunity to kill Viper. I proceed to miss all of my shots and hit his metal armor instead. Not ideal. When you finally kill Viper, it feels great, until you remember that you're still in a ship that is hurtling towards the ground. Cooper and BT infiltrate the fold weapon itself. It's massive, unstable, and looks like a health risk. Naturally, I jump straight in there and push the Ark into BT's pilot seat. Then, reality hits. The IMC captures BT. Watching BT get dismantled is like watching someone kick a puppy. If the puppy had machine guns for arms. It hurts. But BT, being the legend he is, still helps Cooper. He ejects his core, literally giving him his head, and says, "Trust me." Suddenly, I'm running around with BT's brain in my backpack, wielding a smart pistol with aimbot powers. For one glorious mission, I'm John Wick with cheat codes enabled. IMC grunts line up to die as I wall run and headshot everything in sight. This is the closest Titanfall ever gets to a power fantasy, and it's glorious. I then proceed to call in a Titan, and you wouldn't believe it, BT is back. Together, we storm the fold weapon. Waves of IMC mechs throw themselves at us, but nothing can stop a pilot and his Titan. And then comes Sloane, one of Blisk's mercenaries, and easily the toughest boss in the game. She's got an ion Titan, orbital lasers, and way too much confidence. The fight is chaos. Titans everywhere, explosions, Sloane teleporting around like she's an Enderman in water, but with BT by my side, we bring her down.
Steven here.
Blisk himself decides to show up after the fight, but instead of finishing us off, he just gives Cooper a business card and walks away. Classic contractor move. Doesn't care who wins, just cares if the check clears. And then we come to the ending. To stop the fold weapon, BT throws Cooper one last time. The fastball protocol. But this time with actual stakes. He sacrifices himself, detonating the core to destroy the weapon. His final words? Protocol 3, protect the pilot. And just like that, BT is gone. Cooper survives. The fold weapon is destroyed. And the militia gets a huge win. He's officially recognized as a pilot now, which is great. Though technically, his entire certification was just survive long enough for your Titan to die heroically. The game teases that BT might live on through his AI core, which is probably Respawn's way of saying, please buy Titanfall 3 if we ever make it. Spoiler, they didn't. Instead, they made Apex Legends, where BT is replaced by loot boxes, which is progress. And that's Titanfall 2, a game that somehow balances wall running, giant robots, and heartfelt storytelling in one perfect little campaign. It's short, it's sweet, and it's more emotional than most Netflix originals. Titanfall 2 proves that even in a war full of explosions, the real weapon was friendship, and maybe a shoulder-mounted rocket. Now subscribe, or BT7274 will pass away tragically.